100%.
If you pray to Rachel, that's bizarre, but you're praying for her to pray to you. Or like to
You're praying in her schut,
yeah,
in the merit of who she was and of her being there. Yeah, you're not praying to her. Wait, it turned off, so it's Hashem. Everybody knows that now. But it's numbers. Oh, brilliant!
I don't know the numbers, so I never know what numbers to listen.
Oh, cool. All right, ready?
Wait,
Yes, question.
can you tell us your life story?
I could and I will.
Because the introduction class you said that you had in the same life story.
I'm going to tell it to you.
Today?
No. They keep it. They keep it for like a Tzfat Shabbaton or a Chevron Shabbaton. Keep it for like a Friday night where it's like spooky, and then I tell you my life story, and then everyone cries. It's amazing. Anyway, let's begin. Today is Rosh Chodesh. Fill in the blank. Cheshvon. Good. Today is Rosh Chodesh Cheshvon. What is this month about? Anyone know?
Actually,
What's the sign of this month?
it's bitter, actually.
It's bitter. Yefeh. What's the sign of this month? People that were born in November. People that were born in Cheshvan. Scorpio. Good. No. This is now we're talking about Scorpio. That's the mazel of Cheshvan. Sagittarius is more. It's later. And then. So we understand that every single month has an energy to it. Yes, the month is a time. It's a bubble of time. Okay, and every single time you walk into another bubble, it's a new vibe. Okay, it's like walking into somebody else's house. Okay, every house you walk into has an energy, has a vibe. Okay, and what makes the vibe? It's the people that are there and the conversations that take place in the house. If it's a house that you walk into and you like the vibe, usually it's because it resonates with you. Okay, it's like similar to your vibe. Okay, so let's say, for example, I was just remembering yesterday because I was driving my friend to Bnei Brak, and I was remembering how when I became religious, I like went deep into like Bar Park, Crown Heights. I went to like people's houses. I remember as a secular girl coming from a very secular house that I would walk into these houses and I loved the feeling. I was like, I loved the Jewishness. I loved like the Jewish smell and the vibe and the Jewish look. And I remember my first religious friend, and like I walked to her house. I was in 9th grade. She was my friend. She wasn't my teacher that made me religious. She was my friend, my peer. And I walked into her house, and like her father had a yarmulke on, and her mother was wearing a skirt, and they had a kosher kitchen. And I remember the feeling of like, wow, like so cool to have it like a frum friend, like a religious friend. And why did I love it so much? Because it signified so much to me. So much of the stuff that I didn't know about, that I didn't even know I was a part of. Right? And it felt so home. It felt like home. So when you walk into a new month, every month has a new energy. Every month has its own energy. Right? That's why the signs are like it doesn't have to rule you. If you're a Jew, your sign doesn't have to rule you. You can definitely be above your sign if you make better choices. Okay, and if you live above, I mean, living above means like living like a Jew, where I want to whatever and I don't, or I do because it says I should. Like I'll go to volunteer in the hospital and help out whatever little kids because this is a quality. This is something that we absorb from our learning, from what we know is good for us, is healthy for us, right? So or I stay away from certain things, certain foods, certain people, certain language, speaking a certain way because I know it's damaging. I know it's negative. I know it doesn't contribute to my vibe. Okay, so each thing that I do in my day either takes me to where I want to be or takes me away from where I want to be. That's the dance. But when you walk into a certain month, every month has its energy. The month of April has the energy of like busting out of comfort zones, and that's Pesach. Coming out of Mitzrayim, coming out of tsar, narrowness. If you want to like come out of something that you're stuck in for a long time, that's the month to do it in. Because that's the energy of that month. Okay, and that's why you'll read the zodiac of people, like certain people, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's like you're exactly your zodiac. You're exactly yours because of the energy of that month. The energy of that month is very much mashpia. It has a direct effect on the people that are born in that month. Now we just walked into a new month. We left the month of Tishrei behind. Tishrei is all about, what is it about? So many things, right? There's so many elements to Tishrei. We're not going to get into it because there's a lot of elements to it, okay? Where it's making God one and putting his crown back on his head and remembering that there's a God in this world and everything, that he rules everything and he's in charge of everything and everything happens and people can think it's because of them, but really Hashem is the driving force behind everything. That's Tishrei, that's the head of Tishrei. Before that is Elul, like really going inside and looking at myself and looking at my life and looking at my year and looking at where I'm going, what I want for myself, Elul. And then there's Yom Kippur, where there's just like this, like, it's a day meant to just purify you. Even if you were sitting in bed, literally doing nothing, just lying in bed, not praying, not anything, not doing going to nothing, the day itself is like a mikvah. It's like going in and out of the mikvah. The actual day itself, even if you did nothing, just the day. Okay, so the day of Yom Kippur is all about cleansing and renewing and removing and cleaning, and that's the energy of Yom Kippur. So Tishrei has a bunch, and then there's Simchas Torah, there's Sukkot, Simchas Torah, and all that. There's a few energies going on in Tishrei. It's a big energetic month. Lots of energies in that month. Okay, September people. If you know people that are born in September, they have a lot. Okay, there's a lot of their scales, right? That's their sign, the scales. They could be very indecisive. It comes out in different ways, right? Because of the scales. But there's a lot. September people are a lot of energy, a combination of energies. And then comes November, now October, November, which is Cheshvon, and the whole month is a month of. It's a silent month. It's an empty month. It's a month where there is no real thing that stands out. Nothing. Okay, it's a month where we turn back the clocks, and winter starts to come in. Matzah Shabbos, where it's already in a few days from now, by 5:30, it's dark, night, cold. Right? Winter's coming in, so it's the month where winter comes in. It's the month where rain comes in. But there's no energy almost to this month. Could there be a time where there's no energy? You know scorpions that don't have energy?
It's like they're like slow.
What are they?
They don't have energy, but then they're like sneaky. Like
Scorpions have a ton of energy. Scorpions are big movers and shakers, massive, and they're always thriving and striving and want and they're like this. They have their dark. There's the downside to them also. They're very obsessed with wealth. They're very obsessed with gathering and having, and right. They could be. Okay, but if they're not working on themselves, they could very much have a draw to that. Acquiring. So what's this month? Okay, so here's we're gonna go through it because I want to read this amazing thing to you. Okay. Basically, a few things. Number one is to understand that we value and we worship actions, and we are in the world of action. This world is called Olam HaAsiyah. There are 5 worlds. Olam HaAsiyah is the bottom one. That's the one we're in. Okay? This world is the world of action. Over here, you to get anywhere, you have to show up. You have to step up to the plate. You have to put your money where your mouth is. You have to do the work. You have to make it happen. That's this world. You can dream, you can fantasize, you can want, you can long, you can whatever. But until you do it, you're not it. It's not you. What you are what you do. You're not what you crave, what you wish, what you admire, what your goals are. That's nice. Those are all things to get you to do. But in this world, it's very much the currency is action. The currency is action. And Tishrei is all about action. Tishrei is all about doing, and that's why there's so many holidays and there's so much to do, because the whole thing is about moving, shifting. That's Tishrei. And then comes Cheshvon, where there's nothing. And so there's a formula that God is teaching us here that we can see in other places throughout our year. We see that there's a formula that Hashem is teaching us here over and over again. And I'm going to run through this with you because I want to get to the meat and potatoes of this class. Hang on. Okay? I'm going to run through it with you. What's the formula? The formula is like this. We think, being in this world, that whoever goes 24/7 is going to get results. He's going to get results. He's going to get the money. He's going to get the girl. He's going to get the guy. He's going to get the house. He's going to get the business. He's going to get. Because that's how it goes. You put your money where your mouth is. You put your right foot forward. You make things happen. They happen. But there is a chachma. There's a wisdom to how to make things happen. And this is the wisdom we're getting from specifically from Koach Cheshvon, but also from other things. And I'll tell you what I'm talking about. You know, when you go to the gym, if you ever worked with anyone, any coach that really taught you how to work out and really taught you how to get in shape, there's a formula, and the formula is: if you lift weights every single day you work on your arms. Every single day you're working on your arms. Every single day you're working on your arms. Are you going to grow? Why?
Because you're overworking the means time to rest and like rebuild.
Exactly. What happens in the rest? What happens in the rest when you're resting?
Oh, like
When you're sore.
that's when the muscle's rebuilding.
Exactly.
Like strong.
Exactly. You know what actually happens to the muscle?
It tears and then
It tears. Exactly. Beautiful. Exactly. So what happens is that if I were to work on this muscle 24/7 or every single day for whatever, I wouldn't get the same results as I would if I would work it, stop, work it, stop, work it, stop. Meaning work it, let's say 2 days in a row, and then switch to another set of muscles. And then stop, and then switch to another set of muscles. And stop, switch to another set of muscles. What happens when I do that is that what I did when I was working it actually happens when I let it go, when I rest. When I rest the muscle, all of a sudden the muscle starts to tear, meaning it takes over. It takes over the work. It starts to tear, it starts to do its thing, it starts to replenish, and then it grows another layer, so it gets bigger. And the muscles get bigger and bigger and bigger. The tearing and growing and coming back together makes it thicker. It's like scar tissue almost. Makes it thicker. And that's how you grow muscles. But if I were to use my logic and be like, what do you mean? If I want to get muscles, you grow every day. You push. No. Dafka, you have to know how to make it happen. It's like taking a plant and like just watering it to death. You're going to kill it, right? You have to know how to do it. There's a chachma. There's like a wisdom here. And the wisdom is work, stop. Work, stop. Work, stop. When you stop, something else happens. The work that you did takes over. Something happens there. It's like when I tell my kids, I'm turning off your screen time. That's it. And you're done. And they're like, well, what are we going to do? What? Well, what are we gonna literally, Ima? But literally, what are we gonna do? Like literally, I don't know. Literally, you're gonna find out when you get there. And then I turn it off, and there's like a few minutes where there's like, we're bored, but boredom. I'm like, boredom is healthy. You know what happens to the brain when the person is bored? When they're not running and doing and stressing and they're just bored. Staring at the sky, chewing gum, bored. You know what happens to your brain then? What?
you start being creative.
Yeah. Exactly what happens to your muscle. Exactly what happens to your muscles when you rest it. Things that you never thought, highways that you didn't were not open before are all of a sudden opened because there's nothing that's stimulating the person. When the person is 24/7 stimulated, they can't think. And all of a sudden when they're not stimulated, all of a sudden there's other things that come up to the surface. When people don't keep Shabbos, right? They're like, I don't know, I know some people that when they started keeping Shabbos, it was like, what am I going to do for 25 hours? Like, what do I do for 25 hours? Seriously, like, what do? You don't have TV, you don't have radio, you don't have phones, you can't smoke. Can you exercise? No, you can't exercise. So what do you do? Like, what do you actively do? You just do Shabbos. And, like, you have to just do Shabbos. I was at my cousin's wedding last night, and my whole family's there, and I haven't seen this family in, like, ever, and everyone in my family is secular. Okay, I have my whole family, extended family, cousins, everyone's secular. And if they're not married to Goyim, then they're, like, there's very, very, very secular, all around, both sides. Okay? And one of my cousins was there that I just met, basically. We're first cousins, and we just met. And she's so cool, and she's so fun, and she's so crazy, but she's an atheist. And after, like, she says she's an atheist, yeah? And after, like, 4 minutes, I'm not even talking with her, stamped, and she's like, okay, you know what, I'm open to Emunah. talk to me about Emunah. You know, maybe I'll do something. I'm like, I don't think you don't need anyone to talk to you about Emunah. I think you have enough Emunah. And because she does, she has Emunah. She's Sephardi, she's Israeli, she has Emunah. She does. She talks Emunah without even realizing she's saying Emunah stuff. So she's like, so what do I need? I'm like, you just have to get in there and do it. You just have to get in there and feel it. You just have to come for Shabbos. You just have to like smell it, taste it. You just have to do it. You have to feel it. I don't have to be convinced. I'm not convincing you. I'm going to have a good time with you and we're going to dance and we're going to have fun here. But you just have to do it, to feel it, to know it. You allow yourself to get bored. Allow yourself to be single. Allow yourself to go into the unknown. See what happens in the unknown for a minute. Go to the unknown. Go, come out of your comfort zone. Go do things that like. But how do I'm gonna shrivel up and die? You're not. Something else is gonna be born from you. You'll see. Those are resilient people. Resilient people don't hold on to lifestyle because that's how they grew up and how they born and that's how it is. No. They allow themselves to be in the unknown, to be in the Shabbos vibe of what happens when you take everything away. What happens when you pull everyone out? What happens when everything I know is gone and like I'm just there? What do I do with all that time? You don't do anything. You just see what happens to you in the time when there's this lull, where there's this emptiness. See what happens there because something happens. Growth, rejuvenation, creativity happens when there's a lull, when you're not doing, when you're not working, when you're not active. Chodesh Cheshvon is a month of integration because integration is, I would say, 60% of the work. 60% of the work is integration. Integration is allowing whatever happened on Elul, whatever happened on Tishrei, all that activity to just integrate, to become more a part of me. Really. For example, I sit in shul for hours on Yom Kippur, begging for forgiveness and wanting to peel these sins off my soul so I can just be clear and free energetically and just go and not have all this dark energy weighing down on me that happens as a result of sins. I did all of that, and now I'm right. And now, what happens now? Now is when where push comes to shove, where you really are. Meaning, this is where I get to integrate. I asked God to forgive me for being angry. Now, when my son pushes me, and he triggers me, I don't want anger to anymore be part of my reaction. I have a million other ways of reacting. Anger is not on the table anymore. Where did that come from? It came from a month of really thinking about myself and about my ways and about my insecurities and about my codependence and about different things that I'm working on and I'm dealing with and I'm battling with. That's Tishrei. Cheshvan is like, okay, Mama, now, in actuality, how does it look? When your son is going to annoy you, how do you look? You said that anger is off the table. Okay, so then what's the reaction? Are you going to fall back into the same loop? Even if you make a change that's that big in terms of your approach or your understanding, or instead of jumping to the same reaction, same thought pattern, same coming out of the same, even if it's for like 30 seconds. That's already the integration piece.
How do you just change? Like, how do you just like say, like, okay, I'm not going to do this and just like switch it?
First of all, becoming aware of the things that you do that are shooting yourself in the foot. We do things all the time that are shooting ourselves in the foot, or that we just are examples of a lack of self-love. Like the other night when I taught you, the other day on Monday, when I was teaching you, remember I told you I had a really big stomach ache? It was like a full-on stomach ache the whole day. I was like, are you going to go away anytime? Like, is it going to be over sometime soon? Are you going to leave? It was a full-on, like, terrible stomach ache all day. And I know that the night before, I had like a stuffed pepper on the counter all day, because there was a whole thing, and my kids were taking, and then there was one left. And it was like all day, and at like 1 o'clock in the morning, I ate it. And I guess it was that, because I never had that kind of a stomach. It tore through me. Like, really, I was sitting here, I was teaching, and I was just like, oh my God, this is crazy. And so what does that mean? So sometimes we make bad decisions, but if I was on a nightly basis going to eat that, or on a nightly basis going to stuff myself with like just bad stuff, or then the results I'm going to get are going to make me unhappy. 1 second. The results I'm going to get from my actions are going to make me unhappy. So I'm walking around unhappy because of my actions. How do you change? Understanding that I know it's hard for me not to eat past whatever, a certain hour. I know it's hard for me, but when I do eat past that hour, I wake up the next morning, I feel nauseous, I'm bloated, I feel gross, I have no energy, I feel sick. Okay? So I'm not going to keep doing that to myself, even though it's really, really hard. So how do you change? You understand the things that are shooting you in the leg. For example, anger, jealousy, lashon hara, okay? That stuff that's shooting you in the leg. How do you change? The next time you're triggered, literally breathe or take some space from the reaction that you normally would have. Instead of having a knee-jerk reaction, they hit you in the elbow and you immediately react. Immediately it's a knee-jerk reaction. Instead of that, having a little bit less of a knee-jerk reaction. Eating, instead of 1 o'clock in the morning to eat something, eat it at 10. Right? It's not to be perfect. It's not to I stop eating at 7, which is ideal, to stop eating at 7. That's ideal. That's where we were. But if I see that there are certain things that are hurting me in my life, my reactions, my self-esteem, that I get hurt by every little word and every little thing, I feel like a victim in my life, my anger, my ego, if those are things that are getting in the way of my life, of my relationships, of my friendships, of my happiness, then changing that is possible, doable, and that's what we're here to do. We are here to change ourselves. We are here to evolve. Not to change as in I want to be a different person, but I want to be the healthiest version of this being. That's my whole project in life. My whole project in life, the whole reason why God created this, was for me to now work with this for 120 years. To mold it, to shift it, to fall, to get back up, to figure out how to fall and get back up, to figure out that falling is part of is growing, it's okay. To work on this project called Devorah. It's not to just if I were to be change is not possible. I grew up in a very secular house. My father has tattoos all over. My parents worked on Shabbos. There was no kosher, if I were to just be okay, we're here to just accept what it is, then I would never think to change from the way my family is. Right? So, why should I change anything? Or it's not possible to change. Very, 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 very doable to change. And the best way to change certain things in your life that are getting in your way is by, first of all, asking Hashem to help you. Because it says, if Hashem is not helping you in the things that you want to work on, change in your life, you're not going to succeed. It's not going to happen. It says, Eno yocholo means you cannot stand up to your Yetzer Hara. Your Yetzer Hara is too big. That dark voice is too strong. The only way to really have that win with that dark part of us that wants to just what's the word I'm looking for? Self-destruct. The Yetzer Hara in us wants us to be weak and to die. That's what it wants. It doesn't want us to thrive and to become and to flourish and to be the strong version of myself with boundaries and what's the word I'm looking for? Self-discipline. It doesn't want that. It wants us to feel weak and unable, and I can't break it, and I can't say no, and and it's so hard, and I have such a pull, we want to be in control, even of the pleasures that we're a part of. There's a party, I decide if I'm going to that party or not going to that party. It's not, there's a party, I have to be there, I have to go because there's a party. Right? You decide if it's at the right time, the right date, with the right people, if you're in the mood, right? It's almost like you're riding the horse as opposed to the horse riding you. Chodesh Cheshvon is a time where there is an empty time. It almost feels like, it's almost like a month that doesn't matter because it doesn't have any kind of something going on. And so what Hashem wants us to realize is that let's stop worshiping the going on vibe only. There's a lot that happens in the nothingness. There's a lot that happens in the letting go. There's a lot that happens in the quiet. There's a lot that happens in the rest. There's a lot that happens there in the boredom. There's a lot that happens on Shabbos. when you don't have the same throughout the week, like you have throughout the week, and all of a sudden all that is taken away, all of a sudden on Shabbos other things come to the forefront. All of a sudden you take out albums that you haven't looked at in years. All of a sudden you have conversations that you wouldn't have had. All of a sudden you're meeting people that you wouldn't have met. All of a sudden you're part of meals in different people's houses that you would have never been to if it wouldn't be for this stopping, this boredom, this lull, this non-activity. We worship activity in the world of activity. But what Hashem is trying to tell us is that there's a time to work the land, and there's also a time for Shemitah. You work the land 6 years in a row, and then in the 7th year, you stop. Let go. Drop it. Let go. But how are we going to eat? And how are we going to support an entire country? And how are we, there's millions of people in this country. How are they all going to eat if our farmers just go home and kick back and have a beer? How they're not working the land, everything, they're not even allowed to touch their land. All their work for 6 years. Nothing. And Hashem says, whoever does this mitzvah, that's such a crazy mitzvah of such an isayon, it's Shabbos for the land. It's Shabbos for the land. You can't touch it. And whoever does this is it's going to be so much more fruitful on the 8th year, on the 9th year, on the 10th year. It's going to collect more than they would have if they would have worked the entire 7th year. A person that keeps 6 days of the week that works and rests on the Shabbos is going to be much more blessed in their work and all the money that they bring in and the what they produce in their life than if they would work on that 7th day as well. It's the same thing with the muscle. If you don't let it rest, it won't grow. That's the equation for success. That's the formula. Work, stop. Work hard, play hard. That's the formula. So when you have Cheshvon, right after Tishrei, it's like, what's the point of this month if there's no Hanukkah or something, and give me some juice? That's exactly it, that there is nothing. That's the thing itself. The nothing is the thing. Because we look at nothing and we're like, nothing? Yeah, nothing is a thing. It's also a thing. And it's so valued, but it's not really valued in this world of movers and shakers. Those are the ones we value. The ones that have the money and that have the stuff and that are successful. Those are the ones that you're like, wow, that's success. But really, for a person that's really developing and really evolving and really wants to grow, this is the formula. The formula is to know that you work, you integrate. Work, integrate. Work, integrate. Integration is the most important part. Most important part. I took a course in Tel Aviv for something that's called rebirthing. It's a certain type of breathing technique that when you do it, it's kind of wild. You feel like you're on serious psychedelics, but you're only on oxygen. You're just breathing. It's wild. I've sent girls to do it here last year and the year before, and it changed their life. It basically brings to the surface this certain technique of breathing brings to the surface. You're doing it for 15 minutes of deep breaths, like a certain type of breathing. And after 15 minutes, your body just takes over and you're not even doing it anymore. Your body just continues to do it by itself. And all of a sudden you go into a deep trance, like take meditation times a million. I don't know how to explain it. It's like a deep trance, and all of a sudden real stuff, your stuff, childhood stuff. I saw my parents having a conversation before I was born. I was in my mother's stomach. I was standing outside. I was seeing them having this conversation, and my father's telling my mother, we're so broke. We can't have another baby. You have to abort this baby. And I felt my mother's heart drop. I felt her heart drop, and I felt her holding me like that and saying, we'll figure it out. Why do we have to go to get an abortion? We'll figure it out. And I was like, we can't figure it out. We literally can't. We have 3 kids and we have no money and we can't figure it out. And then she went to get an abortion, but they made a mistake and they told her that she was 6 months along and she was really 3 months along, and so that's why I'm sitting here, Baruch Hashem. Thank you, Hashem. But because she had so much fluid in her that she looked like she was really big, but she was really tiny. And they could have done it, but they didn't. They thought she was too far along. In the end, what am I saying? I'm saying that after I came out of the session, I called my mother and I was like, listen, you were standing in a house, the house was wooden, there was a lot of wooden walls behind you, Abba was wearing this, you were wearing that, Abba told you that he wanted that he couldn't have a baby, and you said that you were arguing, and she's like, that conversation happened word for word. We lived in a house in Rishon. This was the house that had wooden walls. How do you know that? You were in my stomach, right? This technique of rebirthing is so powerful. I've taken like everyone I know, my children, my friends, everyone I know, to do this because it's like,
Where is it?
there's different facilitators. There's different facilitators that do it. It's incredible. It's life-changing, life-altering. Why did I say this thing about rebirthing? Where was I before this? Why did I say rebirthing? What were we talking about right before this? What? Integration. Thank you. So you have this insane session. Insane. You're in the session. You're seeing things. You're feeling things. Your traumas. Things coming up. You're like you're getting things like serious downloads. And then it's over. And then so what do you think happens when it's over? Everybody goes home. So the facilitators tell us very, very clearly, the most important part of this whole session is the part afterwards where you're integrating, where everybody sits around and everybody shares what happens to them and what they saw, what happens. All of a sudden and I remember feeling like, I don't want to share it. And I don't want to tell all these strangers what I saw. I'm good. I'm going to go home now because I just had this most insane experience of my life, crying, screaming, laughing, crazy experience of my life. I don't want to sit here and stay over what I had. But when I did do that, all of a sudden I remembered things that I didn't remember if I wouldn't have spoken about it, if I wouldn't have brought it back up. What happens to your actual brain when you integrate, when you go through an experience and then you say what you went through, how it felt, what happened to you, your whole mind and your experience become more connected. That's what integration is. It's connecting the two parts of your brain. It's connecting your emotions with your feelings and your understandings and your new information. It's bringing it together. And that creates shifts. That creates real, lasting changes. Chodesh Cheshvon is integration. Of what? Of Chodesh Elul and Tishrei. It's Chodesh integration. It's not like, oh, there's nothing to do. That's exactly it. Let there be nothing. Let yourself be single. Let yourself let go of certain people in your life, even if it's scary. Let yourself come out of comfort zones of things that you're like, I need this, I'm addicted to this. Let it go and see what comes up. That's number one. Number two, in this month, who died? Who died in this month? Yes! Which month? Which day? Anyone know? The day, the 11th day. 11th day. So in 11 days. Today's Aleph. Today's Rosh Chodesh. In 11 days. But I just want to say one more thing before we go into Rachel for a second. Chodesh comes from the Lashon of Chadash. New. Okay? There's a new energy that comes into the world right now. A new energy. New month, new energy. New month, new you. You have to know that. Now, the way it works with energies is that if you're not tapping into them, they're not going to affect you. You could go stand in the Beis Hamikdash, okay? I'm not even talking about the Kotel. You could go stand in the Beis Hamikdash and feel nothing. You can go to the Kodesh Kodashim and feel nothing. The way it works with energy is that it's all like attracts like. In order to feel a spiritual energy, you got to be spiritual. You got to amp up your spirituality. People that like dark energy, God forbid, evil energy, devilism, Satanism, because they have that in them. Like attracts like. It's like a magnet. Okay? They read about it, they watch about it, they do things that have to do with that. So when they're around people like them, they have a deep connection. They like it. They feel good there. Because they have that darkness in them, so they connect to dark. People that have light in them naturally connect to light. People that have goodness in them connect to goodness. You connect to what you are. Now what you are, you can change. How can you change what you are? It's very simple. Our vibration is created by our thoughts and our words and our actions. That's your vibe. You walk into a room, one day you have one vibe, the next day you have a different vibe. One day you're down and out, the next day you're up and out and uppity. You have two different vibes. What determines your vibe? What you woke up thinking, saying, and doing that day. If you're in the mode of health and doing and helping and laughing and smiling and maybe making people's day happier and going to, I don't know, volunteer and taking this kid and crossing him the street and noticing what's going on around you and coming out of this thing and like living life and like work, then you're gonna attach, you're gonna call into your life people with very similar energy or experiences with that energy. Why is it always the people that are down and dark and negative, that the bad things happen to them all the time? They're always the ones that didn't find the parking spot, didn't make it to the appointment, they always have the sob stories. Why?
So they focus on it.
Because what you focus on, it becomes your field of energy. We all have a field of energy. You have an aura. You have a field of energy. You are a body of energy. And your energy is always going to attract likened energy. That's how it works. And your energy can change from moment to moment. Rabbi Nachman says, and I love this, he says, the dark forces, their whole job is to get you to look at the dark parts in your life. Okay? To get you to look at what's broken, what's missing, what's wrong, what's messed up. That's their job. What happens if I look at the dark, look at the dark? What happens to me? That's all I see.
Like it gets so intense. Like your life is like it could be made of so many different aspects, but if you just focus on one thing, like sometimes you could feel like upset, but like I was trying to remind myself like other things that I enjoyed. So all you focus on is like dark or like negative feelings. It's all you end up seeing.
Exactly. So your thoughts lead to your words. People, you always know what people are thinking by what they're talking about. You want to know what's going on in here? What people say. Listen to what they say. Listen to what they're talking about. Okay? Your thoughts first. It's first thoughts. That's why the Torah is so big on like watch who you listen to, watch what you read, watch what you put in here. Because in here, that's where everything starts to be made. Your whole life starts to be made in here. Literally. Like the man that you marry is already cooking in here. Whether you realize it or not. You're already cooking it. Because you're becoming you, and the more you're becoming, the more him you're going to attract. That's why it says that a person has 7 zivugim. Because depending on, you can be married to 7 different people. Because you can be 7 different people. Depending on what? Depending on how you ride the horse. How you decide your vibe is going to look. And now, Rabbi Nachman, what does he say? He says that a person should start over 1,000 times a day if he needs to. What does starting over 1,000 times a day if he needs to mean? Right now, I could walk out of here, God forbid, and like get annoyed about a phone call or something that didn't work out, God forbid. Right? And it could take me from sitting here and like teaching and like being all this to like and like, oh my gosh, or crying or upset or whatever. Right? Rabbi Nachman says, switch it up 1,000 times a day if you need to. Meaning, come out of it. Talk yourself into emunah. Talk yourself into everything happens for a reason. Everything is for my best. I don't see it. Bring yourself from the dark into the light. From the dark into the light. Even if you fall into the dark 1,000 times a day. 1,000 times you fell into the dark. Jealousy, anger, hatred, lashon hara. You fell. Keep bringing it back, the energy, bringing it back into the light. Bringing it back into the light. Bringing it back into the light. It literally will determine your entire future, your whole life, who you're going to meet, who you're not going to meet, who you're going to become, who you're not going to become. You can become 7 different people in your life. It's insane. It's amazing. So Chodesh is Chadash. It comes with a new energy. The energy of this month is Dafka, the energy of nothing. Dafka, the energy of nothing. And now it's called, you can either look at nothing as Mar Cheshvon, which is what it's called. It's called bitter Cheshvon because there's no light in it, there's no holidays in it. Or, this is exactly fits into what we're saying here, you can either use the boredom to self combust, or you can use the Mar to be Ram. Ram is heightened. You heighten the Cheshvan. You heighten the nothingness. How do you heighten the nothingness? By being in it. By integrating. By allowing. By now, I just cried, did Shukla of an Esther, did all these things, all these spiritual things during Tishrei. Right now, I'm moving into actually playing it out. actually playing it out, actually when my son walks into my room and starts to like give me issues and things, actually coming out of that reaction. Actually, this is where we integrate. This is where we make it happen. All the spiritual stuff. Questions? We have another 3 minutes. I want to read something insane to you. Hashem. Cool. Okay. All right, here we go. The Jewish people are in. We have 3 more minutes, so be with me for 3 minutes. The Jewish people are here in Jerusalem. They are busy doing the 3 cardinal sins. This is the first Beis HaMikdash. 3 cardinal sins. They were doing Avodah Zarah, Shfichas Damim, and Giloi Rayos, which means they were killing, they were worshipping idols, and adultery. Okay? They were cheating on their spouses, left and right, all over the place. That was what was going on here. Then what happens? Nebuchadnezzar comes in here and he starts shechting the Jews. It says that there were rivers of blood in the streets of Jerusalem. Rivers of blood on the streets of Jerusalem. Okay? They go through a total destruction. The Beis HaMikdash is burnt and destroyed, and then they're taken down to Bavel, which is Iraq today, okay, in chains and naked. They're led down in chains and naked. Okay, we're going to learn this in Tomer Devorah. I'm not going to get into it right now so much, but basically, what people do, like killing other people, like adultery, like cheating, like having affairs, like worshiping idols, and all that stuff, that creates dark energy. Dark energy is real. Dark energy is real. The stuff that the people in Hollywood are doing, all those rituals, that's real stuff. They're dealing with sorcery. They're dealing with witchcraft. It's real stuff. There's a real thing that's like, we're not supposed to play Ouija board and all these things because there's Zohar talks about it, and if you do, you can bring down souls. There have been dibukim and different things that were done because there's a certain way to do it, and you could do it, but it's messing with the dark energies in the world. Those were the people that worked for Paro. They were messing with they were using the dark energy. That's why they were able to do witchcraft. There's a lot of witchcraft in the world, and it's real, right? Because it does exist. So what was I saying? Why did I get into this exactly? Hold on one second. It's a big dish. So they were doing all these dark things, and so it says that when a person's averos are actually their beings. We're going to listen to Tomer Devorah. That they're we. I don't want to even say we. A person that sins creates a body of energy, creates an angel, a dark angel, a force. Call it an angel, call it an energy, call it a force. It's something. It's a being. Gives birth to a being. When a person says lashon hara, every word of lashon hara is a minimum of 10 dark beings. Minimum. Maximum 33. Meaning our words, literally, if we had X-ray vision and if we could see spirituality, we would see ourselves giving birth to these dark forces, God forbid. Okay? Because they're real. And so it says that when a person sins, their actual sin comes and attacks them. It's the sins that attack us. It's a person's sins that attack them. How does it attack them? By causing them problems. And then we're like, oh, God, you're so mean to me. Why do you make these things happen to me? Why do you make these things happen to me? It's not God. There's a spiritual bureaucracy that Hashem put into the world, that Hashem created the world with, that when we are messing around with darkness clings to us. And when we mess around with spirituality or holiness clings to us. And I can mess around with both on one day, in an hour. I could also, God forbid, get on the phone and speak to my friend for an hour, lashon hara, and then go do chesed for someone and do a fresh challah. Okay, we're constantly creating energy and moving energy and shifting energy. So they did the 3 cardinal sins. They were led down to Iraq, and then what happens on the way? Who was buried on the way? On the way down to Bavel, who's buried right there? Rachel Imenu. Mama Rachel, she's buried on the way. All of her chevra are all in Chevron, right? Everyone, her husband or every sister, everyone's in Chevron, and she's buried like in the middle of nowhere. Derech Ephrata, she dies. He buries her there, Yaakov, and that's it. And then they move. Why does he bury her there? Because it's a nevuah for later, when the Jewish people get expelled from Israel, they could stop there and they can cry to her, and then they can beg to her, and they can go to their mama. And that's exactly what they do. They go in chains, they're let down, and they stop there and they cry. And now it says, there's a medrash that says, and this is the medrash we're going to read, and with this we're going to end. Oh, here we go again. Okay. The The Jewish people are being led down in chains. They stop over there and they cry to her. Okay, and it says that in Shemayim, this is what happens in Shemayim. It doesn't say the other parts, which is a shame. Basically, it says that Avraham Avinu jumps up in front of God. Avraham Avinu comes up in front of God, it says, in Shemayim, when the Jewish people are being led down into Galus, and he says to Hashem, Hashem, in the merit of me giving up my son, I was going to take Yitzchak, and you said to sacrifice him, even though the entire generation back then when he was living were sacrificing their kids to the gods and to the dark forces and to all this devilism that they were into, okay? And I was the only one that was telling them, don't do it, it's devilism, it's bad, don't do it, it's Satanism, don't do it, and everybody laughed at me, and now I'm going to go kill my son? The thing that I've been telling everyone not to, I'm like the poster boy for don't kill your child for the sake of the gods, and now I'm killing my child for the sake of God. And I went and I did it. I went up, I woke up early and I went and I did it. And in that merit, don't let the Jews go into Galus. Don't let them go into Galus. Don't kill them. Don't destroy them. And Hashem basically says, be quiet. And then Yitzchak comes, and Yitzchak says, Hashem, I was ready to give up my life. I even told my father to tie me tighter, so I'm going to be a perfect sacrifice. So I won't even move a drop. So when he hits me, when he cuts me in the neck, I won't move a drop. A drop I won't move. So tie me so tight, because I want to be perfect carbon for Hashem. In that merit, Hashem, don't harm the Jews. Don't take them out of their country. Bring them back. And Hashem says to them, be quiet. And one after the next, they come before Hashem and they say, and in the merit of this, in the merit of that, nothing. By the way, Hashem loves. His love language is when we stick up for each other. It's his love language. Like when Hashem says to Moshe, come on, these Jews, they're a bunch of sinners. Let's erase them. Me and you, let's start another nation. Hashem says to Moshe, let's start another nation from you, Moshe. From you. We'll start another. We don't need these Jews that are complaining, that are arguing, that are fighting, that are stubborn. Let's forget them. And what does Moshe say? What does Moshe tell him? He says it. What?
If you leave me out of your Torah,
Yeah, he says, if you're going to erase them, erase me. I'm going with them. Hashem's like, me and you will start a new business. We don't need these people. If you're going to get rid of them, get rid of me. I don't want you, God. I want to go with them. And Hashem loves that. It's his love language. Love language. So what happens at this point? This is what happens. I'm going to read to you. Hashem says to quiet to everyone. And then it says, Ba'ota sha'a, in that same hour, Kafza Rachel Imenu lifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu ve'amra. Rachel Imenu jumps up before God and she says, Ribono shel olam, creator of the world, Galui lefanecha, it's clear before you, She'Yakov avadecha ohavani ahava yetera, that Yaakov, your servant, loved me like crazy. I was the love of his life. We were the couple, Yaakov and Rachel. ועבד בשבילי לאבא 7 שנים, and he worked for my father for 7 years. וכשהשלימו אותן 7 שנים והגיע הזמן נישואי לבעלי, יעץ אבי להחליפני לבעלי בשביל אחותי. And she says over here, and after the 7 years of waiting for him, 7 years of waiting to get married to the love of my life, my father comes to me the day before and he says, now I'm going to switch you for your sister. I'm going to switch you for your sister. You're not marrying him. He's going to have to work another 7 years for you to marry him. I'm almost done. Give me 2 more minutes. והוקשה עליי הדבר עד מאוד, and it was so hard for me, this ניסיון. כי נועדה לי העצה, והודעתי לבעלי ומסרתי לו סימן שיכיר ביני ובין אחותי, כדי שלא יוכל להביא להחליפני. And I gave Yaakov the signs between us, that way that he knows that it's me and not my sister. He knows who's who. ואחר כך נחמתי בעצמי וסבלתי את אותי ורחמתי על אחותי שלא תצא לחרפה ולערב אחותי לבעלי בשבילי. She goes through the whole thing. She says to before Hashem, she goes through the whole thing, and she says to him, I switched. I gave my sister the signs in the end. I gave my sister the signs in the end because I imagined her standing under that chuppah, not knowing what he's talking about. He's doing all these signs that we made up the night before. And all of a sudden she's standing there not knowing. He knows that it's not me, and the whole thing is done. And I felt so terrible that she's going to stand there being so embarrassed in front of everybody. Okay, that I gave her my husband, in essence. I gave him to her. I gave her my love. So she shouldn't be embarrassed. וגמלתי חסד איתה, and I did a chesed with her, כדי שלא יכיר לכל אחותי, וגמלתי חסד עמה, ולא קינאתי בה, ולא הוצאתיה לחרפה, and I didn't shame her, and I wasn't jealous of her, ומה אני שאני בשר ודם, and I'm a בשר ודם, I'm a person, I'm a human being, I'm flesh and bone, עפר ואפר, dirt from the ground, that's what I am, ולא קיניתי לצרה שלי, and I wasn't jealous of my sister. I wasn't jealous of my sister. ולא הוצאתיה לבושה ולחרפה, and I didn't embarrass her and shame her, ואתה, and you, God, melech chai v'kayam, rachman mipneh, you're like the king of kings. You're the ultimate compassion. You're like, you're everything. אתה מלך רחמן. מפני מה קנית לעבודת כוכבים שאין בה ממש? What are you jealous of? What are you jealous of? That they're worshipping other gods? You're jealous of sticks and stones? Gods that can't do anything? Statues that just stand there? That's what you're jealous of? I'm a flesh and blood, and I wasn't jealous of my sister taking my husband. What are you jealous of? Look at the way she's talking to God. והגלת בני, and not only that, she says, and now you're taking my children into Galus, ונהרגו בחרב, and they were killed by the sword, ועשו אויבים בם כרצונם, and their enemies did whatever they wanted to their bodies, מיד נתגלגלו רחמיו, and it says that Hashem stops from everyone, from Avraham, from Yitzchak, from Yaakov, from everyone that came up to God. Hashem stops. It says, מיד נתגלגלו רחמיו של הקדוש ברוך הוא. All of a sudden Hashem had compassion rise up within him. V'amar, and he said, בשבילך Rachel, for you Rachel, אני מחזיר את ישראל למקומן, הדא ודכתיב, and it says in Yirmiyahu, Hashem says, I'm going to bring my children back to where they belong. And this is the famous pasuk of Ka Amar Hashem. This is what Hashem says, Kol berama nishma, a voice was heard up on top. Nishma, nehi bechit amurim, I hear a voice that's crying, that's weeping. Rachel mevaka al banea me'ana li'inachem. Rachel is crying for her children and she's refusing to be consoled. Refusing to be consoled. Al banea ki enenu, because they're gone. Her children are gone. They've been evicted from this land. Kamar Hashem, and Hashem says, Meni kolech mi bechi ve'enayich mi dima ki es sachar lefuratech. Hashem says, there's reward for what you just did. There's reward for your care, for your heart, for your tears, what you just did for your children. And what's the reward? V'shavu banim legvulam. Your children are going to return to their land, to their borders. And that is the nevuah of Geula, the third Beis Hamikdash. And the nevuah is, once the Jewish people come back to the Jewish land, then you know Geula has started. We were not allowed into this land. Nobody was allowed onto this land for 2,000 years. It says the bird didn't fly over the land of Israel. It was desolate, barren, empty, desert, nothing. 2,000 years that we were scattered all around the world in different countries. The second the Holocaust was over, we got the keys to the land. We got the keys back. Hashem gave us back, brought us back into Eretz Yisrael. After 2,000 years of I'm not allowed to come in here. And that's the beginning of Geula. V'shavu banim legvulam. How do you know the beginning of Geula? When the Jewish people are going to come back to their borders, are going to come back to their land. And that's today. We are in Geula right now. We're in the era of Geula right now. It's the era of Geula. We're no longer just in the same place we were in the last 2,000 years of Galus. So this month is the month of Rachel. She was buried on this month. She died on this month, on the 11th day of this month. Mama Rachel is the mother of the Jewish people. And the way she talks to God, nobody can talk to God. And the way she can get up in his face, nobody can get up in his face. And the reason it's like that is because Hashem loves when we bleed for each other, when we love each other, when we fight for each other, even if it means fighting him. He loves that. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.